Hey everyone, this is David Pike, the Motorcity Mechanic, and I'm back with another video. Now today we've got a 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee, and the repair we're going to be doing is actually replacing the printed circuit board on the rear tail lamp assembly using a Dorman repair kit. Check it out. Now the actual problem we're having with the Grand Cherokee is related to the tail lamp assembly. We can apply the brakes and all the lights work fine by themselves. We can also turn the running lights on or park lights and they work by themselves. But if we have them both on together, one of the assemblies completely goes out. For example, I've got the running lights on. I apply the brakes, the right rear on this vehicle completely goes blacked out and they don't come on at all. So what's the repair? Previously, we'd have to replace the entire tail lamp assembly. Well, Dorman's come out with a repair kit where we can actually take the printed circuit board off and replace it. And that's what we're going to try to do step by step. Now, the removal of the tail lamp assembly is fairly cut and dry. We have to open up the rear hatch and gain access to two screws right here that's inside the hatch opening. And otherwise, it just snaps in along the front edge. So that's the next step. Now here are the two Phillips screws that I told you that got to be taken off. Once you take those off, you'll be able to take the tail lamp assembly and pull it outward. This black plastic trim piece right here may come off with the lens assembly, or it may just slide off by itself. It just depends on how long it's been on there, and some of them came attached, some didn't. It's mainly there just to close out the gap between the tail lamp and the body to give it a clean look. All you need is a Phillips screwdriver. And there you go, you take the black piece off and hold your tail lamp assembly so it don't fall off. So now that we got the screws out, we can actually pull out slightly on the tail lamp assembly, grab it with our hands, and release it. Now all we got to do is worry about one connector. Once we get the connector off, we can put it on the workbench. Now the connector for the tail lamp assembly is basically what I call a two-stage lock. We got a red piece right here, and this piece right here that we have to push inward to release it. First thing is, the red piece has to slide over. Once it's fully slid over, you can squeeze in on the upper portion of the connector and slide it off. When you go back with it, you need to make sure it's firmly seated and slide the red lock back over. That way you don't have to worry about the connector coming loose. In the meantime, let's go ahead and release it one more time, take it over to the workbench. At this point, if you're still questioning whether or not it's going to be the tail lamp assembly or an issue with the vehicle, keep in mind the connector on the passenger side and driver's side are identical. That means I can actually take the passenger side tail lamp assembly off, plug it in on the driver's side, and then observe the lights. If it still goes out on the driver's side, we know it's the tail lamp assembly. If the one on the right side that we just swapped from the driver's side goes out, we know it's an issue with the vehicle. Now this one we've already checked. We know it's isolated to the tail lamp assembly. So if we take the tail lamp assembly and flip it over, you'll see that we've got a plastic piece right here that has the three bulb sockets that attach and lock in. This plastic piece is actually the circuit board that's for the tail lamp circuits. Now you'll also see that there's 4 catches around the perimeter. It would make you think that you could just release the catches and pry it off, but in this case that's not how it works. During the process, when they make it, they actually put a bead of adhesive around it. It prevents any kind of moisture from getting inside. And when they do, they latch it down in place with those 4 fingers. Once it dries, it no longer comes off. Now the Dorman kit, the way it works is we use a heat gun to loosen up the adhesive and pry it off. Once we get it off, that's where the kit comes in. Now here's the part number on the Dorman kit, 923036. You may be able to pick this up at your local auto parts store. If not, I'm going to supply you a link in the description below the video where you can actually order this through Amazon. Price is going to be around $15 to $16. The alternative to the repair is the actual replacement of that tail lamp assembly, which is around $35 to $40. So you're going to come out a lot cheaper by doing the repair. Please feel free to use that link to Amazon. I get credit for that, so that's one way you can help support the channel, and it doesn't affect your price whatsoever. Now the kit is going to come with the circuit board that we're going to be using. and also a detailed set of instructions that basically covers the majority of what I just described. One thing that's included in here that I did not mention yet is that when we go back with the assembly, what we're going to do is add a thin bead of RTV around the perimeter, right around in that groove. And also we're going to heat up the lamp assembly again so that adhesive can get a bit tacky. And we're just going to slide this down on top, snap it in place, and then over time the RTV will dry, and that way we get a watertight seal. We don't have to worry about moisture getting inside. So here's the thought process I have. I'm going to be heating up this circuit board assembly, right? I don't want to have to be releasing these catches at the same time while I'm heating everything up. And to be honest with you, I'm replacing the circuit board so those catches no longer matter. So why don't I just go ahead and snap them off? They serve no purpose at this time, and I don't want to have to fight with it as I'm pulling the assembly off. So now that I've got the snaps broke loose around the perimeter of the old circuit board, I want to go ahead and remove the bulb sockets. All I got to do is turn them counterclockwise, and then you can try wiggling them off. Sometimes they've been on there for a while. It should come off fairly easy. But if they are a little difficult, you may have to wedge a screwdriver between them and the housing. Work them off. As you repeat this procedure down the line until you've got the last one out of the way. Now the tool that we're going to be using to actually heat up the printed circuit boards that we can take it off is actually nothing more than your typical heat gun that you can pick up at your local hardware store, even your automotive parts stores, or places like Harbor Freight. And that's where this one came from. This is about a $10 tool when it's on sale. I don't use it every day, so a $10 version will last me a fairly long time. It's held up for everything else I've put it through. Now I'm not using it consistently, hour by hour, every day. I'm using it maybe once a day or once every 2 days. So for $10, this is what you'll get. So what we're going to do is actually turn the heat gun on high. We're going to go around the perimeter and we're going to work it till we finally think we've got it loose enough that we can actually start prying up on the circuit board from the housing. Now before I do that, I'm dealing with heat, I'm dealing with plastic, I'm getting it hot. I'm doing away with these plastic gloves, and I'm going to use a different set of gloves. That way these don't melt on me while they're on my hands due to the heat that's being put out by this heat gun. So now we're back with some gloves that can actually handle the heat. Now it's time to start heating things up. There we go. You can actually hear it. That's why I'm wearing the gloves, because of this glue right here. I don't want to get it on the plastic gloves, and I don't want to get it on my fingers. I'd rather throw away these gloves if need be. So now we can actually clean the area off. Get an old rag that we're going to throw away. And grab some of the old adhesive. Pull at the same time. We get a nice cleaned area to work with. Now if we look at the old circuit board, right here at this location where the brake light and the park light would go, we would see that there's some damage right here with the plastic. There's a bulge. Something caused it to get hot right there and distort the plastic. And on the other side we find out that we had a sunken contact area. So the heat got enough to where it actually started melting the plastic, and this portion right here was no longer making a good connection with the bulb socket. And that's the reason why we're replacing it, and that's why every time we applied the brakes with the running lights that the light would go out. Now before we install the replacement printed circuit board on that tail lamp assembly, we need to go around the outside perimeter with some kind of silicone or RTV. That way we get a watertight seal and we don't get moisture inside the housing. Now when you go back with that printed circuit board, keep in mind, it can go one of two ways, but you don't want to go the wrong way because these sockets will not line up with the circles. So make sure you got it in the correct position before you start lining it up. Now the last thing we're going to do before we snap it on, like I mentioned, we're going to go around the perimeter one more time with the heat gun, and then we're going to snap it in place. Now we're ready to grab the assembly, line it up, and press down and snap it in place. You'll hear the audible clicks as each one of the catches locks in. Go around the perimeter and squeeze and make sure everything looks good. You can actually see some of the RTV bulging out around the perimeter. Now I'm going around the perimeter to make sure each one of those plastic catches is completely seated. So that way I know I've got a nice tight fit. Now take each one of your bulbs, make sure it's fully seated in place, rotate it around. Now, they may be a little snug to turn. You may need a pair of pliers. Take your time, line it up, and we'll repeat that for the last two. Now we're ready to take it back out to the vehicle. Plug it in, put the screws in the side, and verify that all the lights work the way they're supposed to. Now that we got everything back together, the last thing we need to do is actually test the lights. So we're going to turn the park/run lights on and then apply the brake. At that point, the right rear should start working normally and shouldn't go out like it did before. And there you have it. All the lights are now working the way they're supposed to. So as you saw, we didn't have to replace that entire tail lamp assembly. Instead, we went online, we found out that Dorman offered a repair kit for that, we ordered it, installed it, and saved some money. So make sure you go online and browse through their online catalog and see what else they have to offer for your vehicle. At this point, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube. You can like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. If you got any comments or suggestions about that Dorman repair kit on that 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee or anything Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram related, you can always email me at david@motorcitymechanic.com and I'll try to get back to you in a timely manner. If you're a new viewer, make sure to hit the subscribe button. If you're a returning subscriber, make sure to hit the little bell icon next to the subscribe button. That way you will get notified as soon as videos such as this get uploaded. Once again, everybody, thanks for watching all these videos.